Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange, and tonight we're going to be working on Petit Point eggs. We're going to take the knowledge that you've gotten from the past couple of lives that we've done, and we're going to put it all together so that you can actually create a beautiful egg. We started out a while ago using our egg lathe and making banded eggs, and this is the banded eggs that we were working on at that time. And this is how they turned out. We did Petit Point jewelry. So if you missed that, this is your opportunity to put the two together and to see it again. This is a real good link for you to go to, and it will teach you how to use your egg lathe. And this is the egg lathe, so you know what I'm talking about. And we took a brush and we just turned this and put paint on here and got what we wanted. So that's the first step in what you need to do. Now, let's say you don't want to use an egg lathe, okay? Or you don't have an egg lathe. Then the next step I would say is you take a plain egg, like this. It must be bisque. It must be bisque. In order to do the Petit Point. So you might as well start out with a bisque egg now. If you don't have a bisque egg and you only have the glazed egg, you can make it bisque by just taking some white matte paint and painting over it, and that will give you a bisque egg to work off of. But you will have to fire that and then do the Petit Point on it. If you don't have an egg lathe, you can take tape. I like to use what is this, frog tape? The green, and I keep it in the box, but I also keep the box in a plastic bag, sealed plastic bag, because I really have a problem with this stuff drying out if I don't do that. You'll need a thinner version of this. You'll put the tape around your egg at the same location that you would put the band. So if you have an egg lathe, then you can make a band like this on your egg. If not, use the tape and make a tape band on your egg. You get the band on the egg, you fire it. If you don't have put the band on the leg, or you don't have an egg, or you don't have an egg lathe, and you use the tape, then just put the tape around it. You don't need to fire it, obviously. So once we get the tape around it, or we've fired it and there's a band around it, we're going to start applying the Petit Point to the top of the egg, up to the band. Now, the reason I like the band on there is that way you don't have to use resist or any of that and get into all that mess. You can just simply paint up to that line, and the line is there for you. Okay, things that you will need in order to do the Petit Point, in case you missed it the last time. You'll need scissors, and you'll need a netting. It's like a bridal netting. It's not tulle per se. It's not the thick stuff. It's this stuff. It's thin. It's very thin, so the thinner you can get it, the better. Now, I use this. This is a spool of ribbon that you can buy at the store, and it's very soft, very, very soft, and it's small, and it goes on very easily around your egg, and it holds a nice form, and that's what you're going to want. You're also going to want some drying pen oil if you have it. If you don't, you need a drying oil if you have it. You're going to need base for raised gold. Comes in a white tube. Mary Ashcroft carries it, so you can get it from her. You're going to need something to mix all this up with. You need a little bit of turpentine or mineral spirits or terpenoid in order to thin it a little bit. You're also going to need these I like the baby rubber bands. They come in these boxes. You can get them at the dollar store, so they're pretty cheap. They're for doing little kids' pigtails, and they work really, really great. So you're going to need one of those. You're going to take a piece of the netting, and you're going to just sort of give it a quick measure around your egg, okay? And then you're going to cut it to go around your egg. I can show you all this without having to go down to do it. And I use the diamond shape, with the 2 points and the 2 points here, instead of the square shape. I use it on a diamond shape. And I wrap the 2 points are on the side and the other 2 points are at the top. Now it should stretch because that's the nice thing about using this tool. There, I stretched it. And you spin it around so that you get a nice fit on here, and kind of look at the fit and make sure that, you know, the little boxes on here are going one direction or another, but they aren't going like this down it, okay? And you're just going to keep putting the rubber band around here until you have it nice and tight, okay? So we're going to do that with this. So you've got it on there. You can see how it's going crisscross, kind of in a diamond shape on there. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll get rid of the netting, but you do want thin netting and you want small squares on it. Get a brush that you don't care about. I have these. I usually buy a couple of sets of these cheap brushes when I'm at the dollar store, so that I have them when I do projects like this, so I'm not wrecking my good brushes. Okay, I'm going to bring you down so you can see now what I'm going to be doing. Oh, you're also going to need these little things to put your eggs on. It's going to be this base for raised gold. So you take an amount. One of these with the corks, I find that if you twist it, it seems to work a little better. Now, it looks like a lot, but you do need a lot to do the Petit Point on these. And I used almost a half of one of these vials usually. And then I have this is a drying oil, and it's called AGS 21 Drying Pen Oil. I get this from Dallas, China. And it comes in this is the smallest amount that you can get here. And I undo it. I don't use this that often. And you can either use your palette knife to at least get the mixing started. And then you might have to go to I usually switch over to one of these, a dropper, because I like to have it mixed, but I don't want to keep contaminating you get all the junk in the bottom. They call it contamination. It really doesn't rise to the top in these bottles very easily, but at least keeps it off your paint. So, and I just put a little in and just keep mixing it. Now you notice it looks kind of grayish, yellowish. Most of it is because it's picking up the color of the oil that I'm using. And my oil is kind of as you can see, it's kind of an amber color. So I'm just going to put the rest of this back in here. And to clean the oil out of your little dropper here, you're just going to do it in your turpentine, and that will get rid of it, or in your mineral spirits. Do it soon though, because as you know, this is a drying oil. So I'm just putting it in right now, and I'm just leaving some setting in there, and then I'll just put it out. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, now I've got this mixed up. Even though it might go on this color, it's going to dry white. And here's an example. This is already fired and it's perfectly white. Now, if this starts getting hard because it's a drying oil, you just take your brush, dip it in your turpentine. Oh, it looks terrible from the top, doesn't it? And add a little turpentine to it. Okay. You're only going to paint in one direction. Now, some people say you can pounce and take a netting and put it around a cotton ball and what have you and pounce. I find this works the best. I've done this several times. I've done a lot of jewelry with it recently. What I do is I put a little bit of turpentine on my brush, make sure my brush is clean. Then I dip it in this and I start going one direction. Now, you don't want to, you see how I've got the line there? You don't want to go beyond that line, because that basically is the end of the area that you want to do this in. And rather than have to tape it off, I know I'm kind of edging it now, but rather than having to tape it off like you would if you had if you rather, you know, if you had resist on here, what have you, this just saves you some time. Now, if you have the tape along the edge, you get the same effect. You just paint up to it. And you can do that. You don't need resist around the edge to tell you where to end this. It's nice if it all has the same look to it. Now you can do one of two things with the base for raised gold. I'm still dipping it a little bit and then going right into my base for raised gold and coming around, trying to just very gently do the edges. And then I'm going to do it all one direction. Make sure that there isn't a spot that I missed. Okay, this direction, this direction. See, all one direction. Now, if you do go over a little bit, you can use turpentine to clean it off when you take the netting off, and it will still come out. Or your mineral spirits or whatever. Clean your brush because this stuff will dry and it will be yucky. Now, I really didn't use that much this time. I'll show you. I only used about that much. So I used about half of what I did. So I'm learning now that maybe I don't need quite so much. And then check it over. Look real carefully. Have a light on it or something so you can see. Did you miss any spots? Now you're going to have that little knob on the bottom where you had the little rubber band. So you want to set it in something so that little knob is going to be out. So I'm just using my scissors and I'm just setting it on my scissors there like that, because that way that little knob will hold it. And I'm just going to move it over to the side. I'm going to let it dry for a while. Now, I normally let mine dry overnight, but tonight I've decided no. We were talking in our club meeting, and it was really, really quite interesting because there are two thoughts for when you apply this netting and apply the Petit Point. One is that you paint your item first and then you put that over. The other is that you put this and paint it on and then paint over it. I prefer to paint over it. You can still see it, and I'll show you. I have a sample here that I'm going to paint for you so you can see what it's going to look like. If you don't have an egg lathe, you just put the netting over it, and you put your Petit Point design on there. And then you take the netting off and you fire it. Okay. Now this is already painted with Petit Point. Okay, here we go. If you paint lightly, and this is a good example, the lighter you paint, the more you see the texture. Ooh, what happened there? I think I got into the wrong color. Now this was bisque, and I painted it with, this is bisque, and I painted it with the Petit Point, and it came out just fine. So, and if you get any on here, you can use your brush, dip it in turpentine, and get rid of the color. Okay. And then up in here, we're going to do a little color up in here, and then I'll show you how this looks. Let's get some pink here. There. Let's do a little pink over here. And let's do a little pink up on top. Our little rose. A berry, I guess this is berry. I thought it was rose. Here, let me turn this. Used to working with my Lazy Susan, and I don't have it right here. And then, of course, you can put in your middle. And your yellow. So you're gonna put your yellow in here. Boop. You put your little black in here. It's got to be more black than that. I'm not going to keep this, so I'm not doing an excellent job, but at least so you see it. Okay. Okay. Where's the other blue? We'll take this color here. Okay. It's a little harder to paint on. You're going to have to be very careful about doing it very lightly, very gingerly when you're painting. And then if you want to go back and make some of these a little frillier, you can do that. And wipe off some of these things here. And you can take the time to do that. Cut around. But that just gives you an idea of what you can do. Now, let me bring it up close to you so you can see. And I don't know how much you can see. Yeah, you can, sort of. Let me tilt it a little this way and see if that helps. Come on, come on. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the pattern on there. And so that's how you do your Petit Point, but you do it in the middle of the egg. Okay, now this has been setting up for a little while, so I'm going to take it off. You take it off in one direction only, okay? You can cut it if you want with scissors down here at the bottom, or you can just undo it like this. I'm just going to cut it. It's just going to be a lot quicker. But it means you can't use it again. Otherwise, you could use it again if you want it. Put your finger in the bottom, and you're going to peel it one direction only, and you're going to watch, because as you peel it, you don't want to disturb the pattern. If you wait overnight, there, see, the pattern's still good on this egg. Can you see it? If you wait overnight, it will definitely dry. Now I have a couple places where I've noticed, get my brush here, that the Petit Point came over this side ribbon. And so I'm going to put my finger in the bottom, and I'm just going to go around. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go around and make sure I remove it from there. Make sure it's all off of there. Oops, I thought I was in camera. I'm not. Okay, right here, I'm going to take it all off. Make sure that I've removed it all. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to put it on one of these little guys. Oh, I'm going to hold it by the bottom. Here we go. Hold it by the bottom and just put it on one of these and bring it over. So now I got the egg completely done. If you have straight copaiba, you can do it. I've done it with straight copaiba, and if I leave it overnight, though, it's still kind of gloppy in the morning, and I'm not as thrilled with it. Don't put too much turpentine as you're applying it. The band, fire it. If you use the tape, you don't need to fire it. You just put the tape on. Then you put your netting over, you put your base for raised gold, and you fire it after you take the netting off. And the final time, you paint your design on and you fire it. You paint your flower and you're happy with it after the first time, don't add any more. I've always found I needed to do 2. So pick up those brushes and keep painting, and I will see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My paintandporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.